I knew my sister was pregnant by my husband before she said his name. It happened at my baby shower, in my mother's backyard outside Houston. I was 8 months pregnant, exhausted, swollen, and trying to smile through the pain. That day was supposed to be the first happy day after months of fear, doctor visits, and sleepless nights. My husband, Eric, sat beside me in a white chair. He held my hand in front of everyone, looking like the perfect husband. To everyone else, he seemed calm, proud, and loving. To me, he had been different for months. He stayed late at work more often. He took calls in the garage. He kept his phone face down, even at dinner. When I asked questions, he made me feel dramatic. He said pregnancy hormones were making me suspicious. I wanted to believe him because I was too tired not to. I was carrying his child, planning our nursery, and trying to protect my peace. So I ignored the small things that made my stomach turn. Then my sister Lauren arrived late. She walked in wearing a pale blue dress and a smile that felt wrong. She hugged my mother first, then came to me and touched my belly. Her hand rested there for 1 second too long. I remember feeling uncomfortable, but I pushed the feeling away. Lauren and I used to be close. We talked almost every day before my pregnancy, but lately she barely called. When she did, she sounded distracted and cold. I thought it was because of her divorce. I thought she was hurting and pulling away from everyone. I never imagined she was pulling away because of my husband. The party went on like nothing was wrong. My mother cried over baby gifts. My friends laughed while guessing the baby's weight. Everyone kept saying I looked beautiful, even though I felt like I might collapse. Then Lauren stood up and asked everyone for attention. At first, I thought she wanted to make a toast. She looked nervous, but not afraid. There was something sharp in her face, like she had been waiting for that moment. My husband's hand tightened around mine before she even spoke. Lauren announced that she was pregnant too. The whole yard erupted with joy. My mother covered her mouth and started crying. My aunts rushed toward Lauren. Someone said it was a blessing that two sisters would have babies so close together. I smiled because everyone was watching me. I smiled because a good sister was supposed to be happy. But then Lauren placed an ultrasound photo on the table beside my cake. That was when my smile died. The date at the bottom of the photo hit me first. It matched the weekend Eric said he was stuck in Dallas for work. That weekend, he told me his project had gone wrong. He called me from a hotel room and said he missed me. I remembered lying in bed that night, scared and alone. My blood pressure had been high. The baby was kicking hard. I begged Eric to come home early, but he said he could not leave. Now I was staring at proof that someone had been with Lauren in Dallas. Eric squeezed my hand so hard it hurt. When I looked at him, his face had gone pale. He did not look confused. He looked caught. Lauren was not looking at our mother. She was not looking at the guests. She was looking straight at Eric, with no shame in her eyes. Then I saw the back of the ultrasound photo. There was a Dallas clinic address printed on it. Beneath the address was a last name. It was not Lauren's married name. It was not our family name. It was mine. In that moment, I understood the announcement was not a celebration. It was not a surprise. It was an attack. And my husband was sitting beside me, holding the hand he had already betrayed. For a few seconds, nobody understood what had just happened. Everyone was still clapping. My mother was crying happy tears. My aunt was already talking about matching baby blankets. The women around me were smiling like this was some beautiful family moment. But I was staring at my last name on Lauren's ultrasound photo. Eric's hand was still on mine, but now it felt heavy and fake. I pulled my fingers away slowly. He did not try to stop me. That told me more than any confession could have. My chest tightened so hard I could barely breathe. I looked at Lauren, waiting for her to look guilty. She did not. She looked relieved, like she had finally dropped a secret that had been choking her. That was when I understood something worse. She had not made a mistake by announcing it there. She had chosen my baby shower on purpose. She wanted witnesses. She wanted my mother, my friends, and his family to hear it before he could deny her again. Eric leaned toward me and tried to whisper something, but I moved away. I did not want his breath near my face. I did not want another lie spoken softly enough to sound like love. My mother finally noticed my expression. Her smile faded first, then her eyes dropped to the ultrasound photo. I saw the exact moment she read the date. Her face changed before she could hide it. The yard became quieter. Not completely silent, but strange. The kind of quiet that happens when people feel danger but do not know where to look. Guests started glancing between me, Lauren, and Eric. Lauren stayed standing near the gift table. Her hands were folded over her stomach. She looked calm, but her chin was shaking. For the first time, I wondered how long she had been waiting for him to choose her. That thought almost broke me. I had spent months blaming myself for Eric's distance. I thought I was needy. I thought pregnancy had made me insecure. I thought I was ruining our marriage by asking for basic honesty. Now I realized he had trained me to doubt myself. Every late night at work had a different shape now. Every hidden phone call had a face. Every time he made me feel crazy, he was protecting something real. My stomach tightened suddenly. It was not just emotion. It was pain. I pressed my hand against my belly and tried to stay still. I did not want anyone to see me fall apart. Eric noticed and reached for me again. I turned my shoulder away from him. The movement was small, but everyone saw it. My mother stepped toward me, but I lifted my hand because I needed 1 second to think. 1 second without people touching me. 1 second without lies breathing around me. Then Lauren finally spoke again. She did not explain everything, but she said enough. She said she was tired of being hidden. She said she was tired of being promised a future after my baby was born. She said she would not let him pretend anymore. Nobody clapped now. Eric stood up so fast his chair scraped against the patio. His face was red and his eyes were cold. He looked at Lauren like she had betrayed him, not like he had destroyed his pregnant wife in front of everyone we loved. That look told me the truth. He was not sorry because he hurt me. He was angry because he had lost control. I wanted to scream, but my body would not let me. My throat closed. My hands shook. My baby kicked again, harder this time, and the pain spread across my lower back. My best friend Mia came to my side. She did not ask what happened. She only took the water from my lap and moved Eric's hand away when he tried to touch me again. That small gesture kept me from collapsing. My mother picked up the ultrasound photo. She looked at the name, then at Eric. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I had never seen my mother speechless before. She had survived divorce, debt, illness, and every family crisis with a strong face. But this broke something in her too. Lauren's eyes filled with tears then, but I could not feel sorry for her. Not yet. Maybe she had been lied to. Maybe she had been manipulated too. But she still chose that moment. She still turned my first happy day into a public punishment. The baby shower ended without anyone saying it was over. People started leaving quietly. Gift bags stayed on the tables. Half-eaten cake melted in the heat. The little blue decorations moved in the wind like nothing terrible had happened. Eric followed me into the house, speaking fast behind me. He said it was complicated. He said I needed to calm down. He said this was not good for the baby. That was when I stopped walking. Because for the first time in months, I heard his words clearly. He was not worried about me. He was using my baby to control my reaction. And before I could answer, Lauren walked into the kitchen holding her phone. On the screen was a message from Eric. It was dated that morning. The message on Lauren's phone was worse than the ultrasound photo. Not because it was long. Not because it explained everything. It was worse because it was calm, casual, and written like my life was just an obstacle he planned to move later. Eric had texted her that morning. He told her not to ruin the shower. He told her to be patient. He said he needed more time because I was too fragile and the baby could come early. Then he promised her they would talk after my delivery. After my delivery. Those 3 words made my whole body go cold. I looked at Eric, waiting for panic, shame, anything human. But he stared at Lauren like she had stolen something from him. Not his marriage. Not his family. His control. My mother stood behind me, still holding the ultrasound photo. Mia kept one hand on my back, but I barely felt it. I was focused on the phone, on the date, on the words that proved he had been managing both of us. For months, he had called me emotional. He had called Lauren unstable. He had made each of us think the other one was the problem. And somehow, while I was carrying his child, he had built a second life close enough to touch mine. Lauren's face had changed too. The confidence from the yard was gone. Now she looked scared, like she had expected a fight, but not the truth laid out so plainly. That was when I realized she had not come to confess. She had come to force his hand. She thought exposing the pregnancy would make him choose her. She thought the shock would trap him into finally standing beside her. But instead, he looked at her with the same coldness he had used on me for months. I should have hated her completely in that moment. Part of me did. But another part of me saw the trap closing around both of us. Different roles, same man, same lies. Eric started talking fast again. He said Lauren was twisting things. He said the message did not mean what it looked like. He said we needed privacy because family drama did not belong in front of everyone. Privacy. That word almost made me laugh. He wanted privacy after lying in public for months. He wanted privacy now because witnesses made his lies harder to shape. I looked through the kitchen window and saw guests still leaving, carrying favors from a celebration that had turned into evidence. Then the pain hit again. It wrapped around my stomach and pulled tight. I gripped the edge of the counter. Mia noticed immediately and told everyone to move back. My mother reached for her phone, but Eric told her not to overreact. That was the moment something inside me snapped. He had lied to me, cheated on me, humiliated me, and now he was still trying to decide what counted as serious. I was 8 months pregnant, shaking in my mother's kitchen, and he was more worried about the story than my body. I told my mother to call my doctor. Eric stepped closer and said he would drive me. I told him he would not be getting in the car with me. My voice did not sound loud, but everyone heard it. Even Lauren stopped crying. For the first time that day, Eric looked afraid. Not heartbroken. Not sorry. Afraid. Mia helped me toward the hallway while my mother called the emergency line. I could hear Eric behind us, asking me not to do this. He said I was making a mistake. He said I was letting Lauren destroy our family. But I already knew who had destroyed it. At the hospital, they checked my blood pressure first. It was too high. The nurse asked if I was under severe stress, and I almost laughed again because the truth sounded impossible. My sister had announced she was pregnant by my husband at my baby shower. Mia stayed beside me. My mother sat near the door, silent and pale. Eric kept calling, then texting, then calling again. I did not answer. Every vibration felt like another hand around my throat. Then Lauren sent me one more message. This time, there was no apology. No explanation. Just a screenshot of a hotel reservation in Dallas. 2 names were listed on it. Eric's name was first. Mine was second. I stared at the hotel reservation until the letters blurred. Eric's name was first. Mine was second. For a moment, I thought it had to be a mistake. Maybe Lauren had edited it. Maybe the hotel system had used my name because I was his wife. Maybe there was some clean explanation that would hurt less than the truth. But deep down, I already knew. Eric had used my name to book the room where he met my sister. That detail made everything feel dirtier. It was not just cheating. It was not just betrayal. He had dragged my name into it, used my identity like a cover, and left me sitting at home pregnant and scared. Mia saw my face change and took the phone from my hand. She read the screenshot slowly. Then she looked at my mother, and neither of them said anything. They did not need to. Silence was enough. The nurse came back to check my blood pressure again. It was still high. She told me I needed to stay calm, but I had no idea how to do that. My whole life had just split open, and every new detail had teeth. Eric kept texting. First, he said Lauren was unstable. Then he said the hotel room meant nothing. After that, he said using my name was easier because our cards were linked. Every message made him sound less like a husband and more like a man trying to destroy evidence. Then he sent one that made my stomach turn. He wrote that I needed to think about our son before making permanent choices. Our son. He had not thought about our son in Dallas. He had not thought about him while lying beside my sister. He had not thought about him when he squeezed my hand at the shower, hoping I would stay quiet. But now our baby was useful to him. I closed my eyes and tried to breathe through the tightness in my chest. The monitor beside me picked up every jump in my pulse. My mother finally started crying, but quietly, like she was ashamed of the sound. Then Lauren showed up at the hospital. Mia went into the hallway before I could stop her. Through the half-open door, I heard their voices rising. Lauren wanted to see me. Mia told her she had done enough damage. My mother stood up, but she looked too broken to choose a side. I should have told Lauren to leave. Instead, I asked Mia to let her in. Lauren walked into the room holding her purse against her stomach. She looked smaller than she had in the backyard. Her makeup was ruined. Her confidence was gone. But I could not forget the way she had looked at Eric when she made her announcement. She did not start with an apology. She started with another truth. She told me Eric had promised her he was leaving me after the baby was born. He said our marriage had been dead for years. He said I knew it too, but I was using the pregnancy to keep him trapped. Hearing that almost made me sick. I had been begging him for more time together. I had been asking him to come to doctor appointments. I had been crying in the bathroom because I thought I was failing as a wife. And he had turned my pain into a story for another woman. Lauren said he told her not to call me because I was unstable. He said the stress could hurt the baby, and any confrontation would be her fault. He made her feel guilty for wanting answers. He made me feel guilty for asking questions. That was the moment I thought, this is just insane. He had not only cheated. He had built 2 cages and called both of them love. He used my pregnancy to silence her, and he used her emotions to keep me confused. We were not rivals in his mind. We were problems to manage. Then Lauren opened her purse and pulled out a folded envelope. She said she found it in Eric's laptop bag 3 weeks earlier. She had taken it because she wanted proof he was serious about leaving me. But when she saw what was inside, even she got scared. Mia took the envelope from her and handed it to me. Inside was a copy of a life insurance policy. My name was on it. Eric was listed as the beneficiary. And the date on the document was 2 weeks after my doctor warned him my pregnancy was high risk. The life insurance policy made the room feel colder. I read my name 3 times, hoping the letters would change. They did not. My full legal name was there. My date of birth. Our home address. Eric's name listed clearly as the person who would receive the money. The amount was higher than anything we had ever discussed. I felt my baby move, and my hand went straight to my stomach. For the first time that day, fear became something deeper than heartbreak. This was no longer only about cheating. This was about what else Eric had been hiding while I slept beside him. My mother took the paper from me because my hands were shaking too hard. Mia asked the nurse to come back in. Lauren stood near the wall, crying silently, but I could not look at her. I had no space left inside me for her pain. The nurse saw my face and checked the monitor. My blood pressure had climbed again. She told everyone to step out except one support person. I chose Mia. Not my mother. Not my sister. Not my husband, who kept calling like a man trying to pull me back underwater. Mia held my hand while the doctor came in. I told them enough. Not every humiliating detail, but enough for them to understand that my stress was not a small family argument. I said my husband had betrayed me, lied to me, and that I no longer felt safe with him near me. Saying those words out loud changed something. For months, I had softened everything. I had called his behavior distance. I had called his lies pressure. I had called my fear hormones. But in that hospital room, with monitors on my belly and a policy in my lap, I finally used the right word. Unsafe. The doctor listened without judging me. She told me my body needed protection now, not explanations. They moved me to a quieter room and marked my chart so Eric could not receive updates without my permission. That simple action gave me my first breath all day. My mother came back in later, holding her phone like it weighed 20 pounds. Eric had been texting her too. He told her I was unstable. He said Lauren had trapped him. He said the insurance policy was normal because responsible husbands planned ahead. My mother did not believe him anymore. She sat beside my bed and apologized without touching me. I could see the guilt in her face. She had always defended him. When I complained about his late nights, she told me men handled stress differently. When I cried about feeling alone, she reminded me he worked hard. Now she understood that I had been asking for help the whole time. Lauren asked to come in again, but I said no. I was not ready to forgive her. I was not ready to hear her reasons. Maybe Eric had lied to her, but she still chose my baby shower as the place to burn everything down. That choice belonged to her. By evening, my contractions had slowed, but the doctor wanted me monitored overnight. Mia stayed with me. My mother went home to pack a bag and pick up my medical papers. I asked her to bring my laptop too. I needed access to our accounts. That request made Mia look at me differently. She knew I was not only crying anymore. I was thinking. While she helped me log in, my stomach twisted again. Not from pain this time, but from dread. Our joint savings account looked lower than it should have. Thousands of dollars were missing. Transfers had been made over several months, small enough that I had not noticed. The memo lines were blank. Then I opened our credit card statement. There were charges for Dallas hotels, restaurants, jewelry, and one private clinic. Some were under business names. Some were hidden as travel expenses. All of them were paid from the account where my maternity leave money had been sitting. I had been saving for diapers, hospital bills, and unpaid leave. Eric had been spending it on my sister. Mia covered her mouth, but I kept scrolling. My tears had stopped. Something inside me had gone still, and that stillness scared me more than crying. Then a new email appeared at the top of the screen. It was from our mortgage company. The subject line said our home equity loan had been approved, and I had never applied for one. The home equity loan felt like the floor disappearing under me. I stared at the email, trying to understand how my name could be attached to something I had never approved. Our house was the only stable thing I thought I had left. It was supposed to be where I brought my son home. Now even that felt infected by Eric's lies. Mia took the laptop from my lap before my hands dropped it. She opened the attached documents carefully. My name was on every page. My signature was there too, but it was not mine. It looked close enough to fool someone who did not know me. But I knew my own hand. The loan was for $65,000. My stomach went tight again, and the monitor beside me started beeping faster. Mia called the nurse, then closed the laptop like the screen itself could hurt me. I kept thinking about the missing savings, the Dallas charges, the insurance policy, and now the loan. This was not an affair anymore. This was a plan. Maybe not a perfect plan. Maybe not even a smart one. But Eric had been moving money, hiding debt, using my name, and building escape routes while I was too sick and pregnant to notice. That realization stripped away the last piece of denial. The nurse came in and checked me again. My blood pressure was still dangerous. The doctor told me stress was putting my body under pressure it could not keep absorbing. She did not ask for details, but her face changed when Mia mentioned possible financial fraud. For the first time, someone outside my family treated this like more than drama. Hospital security was told Eric could not enter my room. My chart was updated again. My mother called a family attorney she knew through her church. Mia helped me freeze my credit from the hospital bed. Each small step made me feel less trapped. Eric kept texting every few minutes. His messages changed shape as the night went on. First, he acted wounded. Then he became angry. Then he tried to sound loving. He wrote that I was confused, that I was being influenced, that I was destroying our son's future over one mistake. One mistake. He called months of betrayal one mistake. He called forged documents one mistake. He called my sister's pregnancy one mistake, as if all of it had happened in 1 week second. I did not answer. By midnight, Lauren sent another message. She wrote that she had not known about the loan. She had not known about the insurance policy until she found the envelope. She said Eric had told her he was under financial pressure because I spent too much on the baby. That lie almost made me laugh from exhaustion. I had been cutting coupons for diapers while he booked hotel rooms in Dallas. I had delayed buying a rocking chair because I felt guilty about money. I had apologized for needing medical care that our insurance only partly covered. He had made me feel expensive while he was stealing from me. The next morning, my mother returned with my hospital bag, my laptop charger, and a face that looked 10 years older. She told me Eric had come to the house before sunrise. He wanted clothes, documents, and his work laptop. She refused to let him in alone. That was when he lost control. He yelled on the porch loud enough for the neighbor to come outside. He accused my mother of poisoning me against him. He said Lauren was lying because she wanted money. Then he asked for the folder from our bedroom drawer. My mother knew exactly which folder he meant. It was the one where I kept my birth certificate, social security card, insurance papers, and bank documents. The folder he had no reason to need unless he planned to keep using my identity. She did not give it to him. Instead, she brought it straight to me. I opened it in the hospital room with Mia beside me. Most of the papers were still there, but one thing was missing. My old passport was gone. So was the spare key to my car. Then Mia looked inside the folder pocket and found a folded receipt. It was from a storage unit outside Houston. The rental date was 3 months earlier, and the unit was listed under my name. The storage unit receipt made my skin crawl. For a few seconds, I could only stare at it. My name was printed at the top. My old address was listed below it. Eric's phone number was written as the contact number, but the account itself was under me. That was how he had done everything. He used my name when it helped him. He used my pregnancy when it protected him. He used my fear when he needed me quiet. And when the walls started closing in, he planned to let me carry the blame. Mia took a picture of the receipt before I even asked. My mother called the attorney from the hallway. I could hear her voice shaking, but she stayed focused. For the first time in my life, my mother sounded less like someone trying to keep peace and more like someone ready to fight. The attorney told us not to confront Eric alone. She said to save every message, every document, every account statement. She told me to file a police report once I was medically stable. She also said something that made the room go silent. If Eric had used my identity for a loan, there could be more. More accounts. More debt. More signatures. More lies waiting in places I had never thought to check. The thought should have broken me, but something strange happened. I did not fall apart. I felt numb, focused, and almost calm. My body was still weak, but my mind had finally stopped begging the truth to be smaller. It was not smaller. It was bigger than an affair. Bigger than my sister's pregnancy. Bigger than one terrible afternoon at a baby shower. Eric had been building a hidden life with my name, my money, and my trust. Later that day, the doctor said I was not in active labor anymore. My blood pressure was still being watched, but the baby looked stable. Hearing that almost made me cry harder than anything else. My son was still safe, despite everything his father had dragged into our lives. That gave me a reason to stay sharp. Mia drove to the storage facility with my mother and the attorney's assistant. I stayed in the hospital because the doctor refused to release me yet. Part of me hated waiting, but another part knew I could not risk my baby just to chase Eric's mess. An hour later, Mia called me on video. The unit was small, barely big enough for boxes and a few pieces of furniture. At first, it looked boring. Old luggage. Plastic bins. A folded crib box I had never seen before. Then Mia opened the first container. Inside were women's clothes. Not mine. Lauren's. There were maternity vitamins, unopened baby items, restaurant receipts, and a stack of printed emails. Eric had been keeping pieces of their life in a unit rented under my name. If anyone found it, it would look like I knew. It would look like I had helped hide everything. Then Mia opened a black folder. That was when her face changed. She did not read everything out loud because I was still in a hospital bed with monitors attached to me. But I saw enough. Copies of my signature. Copies of my ID. Loan papers. Bank forms. A second credit card application. And tucked behind them was a printed email from Eric to someone I did not know. In it, he wrote that after the baby came, he would clean up the marriage situation and move forward with the new plan. The new plan. My hands went cold around the phone. Mia kept looking through the folder, then froze again. She pulled out a small envelope with my name written on it. Inside was a key card for a hotel in Dallas, a receipt for a jewelry store, and one final document that made my mother start crying on the video call. It was a draft separation agreement. Eric had already prepared it. In the agreement, I would leave the house, split the debt, and give him shared custody. And my signature was already forged at the bottom. The forged separation agreement changed everything. Until that moment, part of me had still been grieving a marriage. After that, I understood I was escaping something planned. Eric had not only betrayed me with my sister. He had prepared a version of the future where I lost my house, my money, and half my voice as a mother. Mia brought the folder straight to the attorney. By the next morning, the police report had been filed. My credit was frozen. The mortgage company was contacted. The hospital knew Eric was not allowed near me, near my room, or near any medical information about my baby. Eric tried to act like the victim until he saw consequences. Then his messages stopped sounding angry and started sounding desperate. He wrote that he had panicked. He wrote that he never meant for it to go that far. He wrote that Lauren had pressured him, money had gotten tight, and I would understand once I calmed down. I did not answer a single message. For the first time in years, silence protected me. 2 days later, my son was born early. Not dangerously early, but early enough to remind me how close everything had come. The delivery was hard, and my body was tired before it even started. Mia stayed on one side of me. My mother stayed on the other. Eric was not there. When the nurse placed my son on my chest, I cried harder than I had cried all week. He was tiny, warm, and furious at the world. His little hand opened against my skin, and something inside me became steady. I had lost a husband, but I had not lost myself. The weeks after his birth were not pretty. There were lawyers, police interviews, bank calls, and nights when I sat awake feeding my baby while my whole life sat in boxes around me. I moved into my mother's guest room because the house no longer felt safe. Lauren tried to apologize. She sent long messages about how Eric had lied to her too. She said she thought he loved her. She said announcing her pregnancy at my shower was the worst decision of her life. Maybe some of that was true. Maybe Eric had manipulated her, just like he manipulated me. But truth did not erase choice. I told her I needed distance. Not forever, maybe, but for now. I could not heal while comforting the person who helped break me. Her baby was innocent, just like mine. But our sisterhood was no longer something I could pretend had survived untouched. Eric's lies kept unfolding for months. More accounts appeared. More signatures were questioned. The storage unit became evidence. The loan was stopped before the money disappeared, but the damage to my trust was harder to freeze. I learned that betrayal is not always one dramatic night. Sometimes it is built quietly, through paperwork, passwords, and apologies that make you doubt your own eyes. The divorce took longer than I wanted. Still, I got through it. I kept records. I asked for help. I stopped explaining myself to people who preferred a cleaner story. Some relatives wanted me to forgive quickly because the truth made everyone uncomfortable. I learned that peace built on silence is not peace. It is just another cage. Today, my son sleeps in a small blue room at my mother's house. It is not the nursery I planned, but it is safe. His crib is beside a window, and every morning the light falls across his face like a promise. I still do not know what will happen with Lauren. I do not know what kind of father Eric will try to become from a distance. I do not know how long it takes to stop flinching when a phone lights up at night. But I know this now. Love should not make you ignore fear. Family should not demand your silence. And when someone keeps making you feel crazy for asking questions, sometimes the questions are the only sane thing you have left. My baby shower was supposed to celebrate a new life. Instead, it showed me the truth about mine.